If you ever walked into your grandparents' house and instantly felt your shoulders drop, you know what I mean. The world got quieter. The air smelled like coffee and dish soap. And everything from the kitchen table to the walls felt like it was gently saying, "You're safe here." Today, we're going through 30 old home features your Christian grandparents had that made their houses feel like home in the deepest way. The first ones are cozy and familiar, but the deeper we go, the more you realize these weren't just features. They were little habits built in, and you could feel them in the creak of the porch swing and the clink of a spoon in a glass. Number 30, the screen door slam. It was not gentle and it was not quiet, but it was familiar. That sharp snap of a screen door closing felt like punctuation at the end of a sentence. Someone had arrived, someone had left. Life was moving through the house, not tiptoeing around it. You could hear shoes on the steps, grocery bags rustling, a quick hello drifting into the kitchen. That door was a heartbeat, always opening for family, always closing behind them, always telling you that home was not a museum. Today, we build quieter entrances and softer hinges. But we lose that one loud sound that meant you were not alone, and once you were inside, there was usually something sweet waiting nearby. Number 29, the candy dish on the table. Every kid knew exactly where it was, and still asked anyway. The dish might have been cut glass or a little bowl that looked far too nice for sticky fingers. Inside were the classics: butterscotch, peppermints, strawberry candies wrapped like tiny quilts. It was generosity without ceremony. No speech, no conditions. Just a quiet way of saying, "I'm glad you're here." You took one, maybe two, and walked away like you'd been trusted with something special. In many homes now, snacks are hidden or rushed. That dish sat right out in the open, like kindness. Didn't need guarding. And somewhere nearby, you could hear the house keeping time. Number 28, the kitchen clock. Everyone obeyed. There was always a clock in the kitchen, plain, dependable, loud enough to notice. It didn't match the curtains or try to be charming. It just told the truth. Supper had a time. Bedtime had a time. Sunday morning definitely had a time. You heard it ticking while a pot simmered, while homework got finished, while the house settled into evening. It kept everything moving in rhythm, like a steady hand on your shoulder. We're surrounded by time now, yet rarely feel anchored to it. That clock taught something quieter. Life works better when everyone moves together. And if you sat still long enough, there was probably a blanket waiting for you. Number 27, the quilts and afghans within reach. If you sat anywhere, a blanket was close by. A quilt folded over the couch arm, an afghan with colors that didn't match anything, and somehow matched everything. You felt the weight of it, not just warmth, but comfort with a history. It sometimes smelled like laundry soap and sunshine, like it had lived through 1,000 naps and conversations. Those blankets existed because life got cold in more ways than one, and nobody thought you should shiver through it alone. Blankets get bought for looks now. These were kept for people. And if you fell asleep under one, nobody scolded you. They smiled. Like that was the whole point. Be honest, did your grandma have that blanket that weighed like a small child? Number 26, the bread box and the cookie tin. Bread lived in a box. Cookies lived in a tin. Both felt like promises. The tin lid squeaked when you lifted it, like it was waking up. Inside might be something a little too sweet or a little too dry, but made with care. Hospitality wasn't a performance. It was automatic. Here, have something. Sit down. Stay a while. Nobody made you feel like you were taking too much. Hosting can feel like a test now. Their kindness was casual, unguarded, and almost always there was coffee nearby, like the house itself expected you to linger. If this kind of time travel feels like home, you'll fit in here. Subscribe. Number 25, the coffee station that felt like a welcome mat. Coffee wasn't just a drink. It was an invitation. The pot was either on or ready. Mugs stacked where anyone could reach them. You could say no and still end up with a warm cup in your hands. It slowed everything down. A quick visit turned into a real conversation. You sat at the table and listened to adults talk in that calm tone that made problems feel smaller. Coffee mixed with dish soap and something simmering on the stove. And suddenly, the day felt manageable. These days, it's something you grab and go. In that house, coffee meant you were safe enough to sit, and once you did, stories came out, some of them written down and saved. All right, now, that was the cozy stuff. Now we're getting into the things that made the whole house run like a quiet machine. Number 24, the recipe box with handwritten cards. That recipe box looked worn because it was. Index cards smudged with flour, ink faded from use. Notes in the margins, add more vanilla, don't forget the spice. Some cards were written in a different hand, passed along after church dinners and long friendships. It wasn't just cooking, it was memory storage. One glance could bring back a holiday, a kitchen, a person who taught you how to stir. Recipes vanish into screens now. These lived in your hands. And when you asked for one, you didn't get a link. You got a card and a story. That instinct to keep things going didn't stop at food. Number 23, the sewing basket in the corner. There was always a sewing basket nearby. Buttons, pins, thread colors that no longer matched. A pin cushion that had seen better days. It sat there like a quiet toolbox, waiting, fixing. Things wasn't just practical, it was dignified. A grandmother could mend a seam while listening, hands calm from years of doing the same thing. A grandfather patched things without commentary. He just made them work again. We replace things fast now and miss the satisfaction of repair. That home taught a different lesson. Don't give up on something just because it's worn. That applied to clothes and people. And no, this wasn't old-fashioned. This was respect. Fixing things meant you didn't throw people away either. Number 22, the telephone spot with a real chair. The phone didn't wander. It had a home, a small table, a chair, a notepad with a pen. Calls weren't quick, they were events. You sat down because you were about to hear something real. You stretched the curly cord just far enough for privacy while still feeling the house around you. Voices carried warmth you couldn't text into existence. You listened longer. You answered slower. Communication fills every moment now, but feels thinner. That phone spot created a boundary, a place where noise stayed contained and attention stayed focused. And once the call ended, the house stayed calm. Number 21, the mudroom that caught the chaos. The mudroom was a small boundary with a big effect. Boots came off. Coats went on hooks. Bags landed where they belonged. Dirt stayed near the door instead of spreading through the house like trouble. It wasn't about perfection. It was about peace. Kids learned the rhythm without yelling. Shoes lined up, hands washed. Then you came inside. That pause protected the rest of the home from getting overwhelmed. Most houses rush straight into the center carrying stress and noise with them. That little buffer zone quietly said, let's keep the inside calm. And once you crossed it, there was usually a pantry waiting that meant business. Number 20, the pantry that worked like a small store. That pantry wasn't random. It was a plan. Cans lined up. Flour stored right. Sugar always ready. It gave the house a quiet confidence, like it knew how to handle surprise guests or tight weeks. And the best part was watching your grandmother cook without searching. She reached for ingredients like the shelves were part of her memory. A lot of homes restock in a rush now. Their pantry said something calmer. We're ready, so we can stay peaceful. Number 19, the canning shelves of mason jar. Those mason jars caught the light like stained glass. Peaches, tomatoes, green beans, jelly the color of rubies. People call it rustic now, but your grandparents didn't do it for the aesthetic. Those jars were proof of effort. Steam on the windows, towels everywhere, hands moving fast and practiced. kids knew to stay out of the way because it wasn't cute, it was serious. And then came the best sound, that soft little pop when a lid sealed. Not dramatic, not loud, just a tiny click that meant winter had one less reason to scare you. In our world, homemade stuff gets sold like a luxury. Their homemade was insurance, not a hobby confidence stacked on shelves. That little pop of a ceiling lid, that sound was basically, we're gonna be okay. Number 18, the cool basement storage or root cellar. Some homes had a root cellar, others had a basement corner that stayed cold no matter the season. Either way, it felt like the house had a secret reserve. Potatoes, onions, apples, flour, jars lined up like quiet backup plans. The air down there smelled earthy and damp, and somehow that smell felt safe. Like the home remembered what to do when things got tight. Your grandparents didn't store food because they were nervous people. They stored it because they'd seen enough life to know surprises happen. Bad weather, tight money, extra mouths at the table. And the calm part was this: nobody acted frantic about it. They just stayed ready. Most of us only think about preparation when we're already anxious. They prepared so the anxiety wouldn't take over in the first place. Number 17, the emergency lanterns in one known place. When the power went out, your grandparents didn't scramble. They walked straight to the same spot every time. Lanterns, matches, candles, flashlights, like it had been practiced without ever being announced. Light didn't come back from the wall, it came back from their routine. And once the room glowed, everything softened. Shadows moved on the ceiling, people sat closer, the house got quieter, not in a scary way, but in a gathered together way. It turned a blackout into a little pocket of family time. We're used to having systems do everything for us. So when they fail, it feels like the world is ending. Their home could still function in the dark, and that kind of readiness did something bigger than provide light. It gave the room peace. Number 16, the fireplace or wood stove that kept you alive. That fireplace wasn't aesthetic. That wood stove wasn't a vibe. It was backup. It was survival with a heartbeat. The crackle of wood, the smell of smoke on a jacket, the warm patch of floor where you sat too close. Those weren't cozy details. Those were the house keeping its promises. Watching your grandfather stack wood felt like watching quiet protection. No speech, no drama, just steady care. Now, we turn a dial and complain if the heat feels uneven. Back then, warmth had to be earned, and because it was earned, it felt precious. Even silence felt safer with a fire speaking in the background. Number 15, the leftover system that made dinner stretch. In their home, leftovers weren't sad, they were strategy. There was an unspoken order to it. Roast became sandwiches, sandwiches became soup, soup became one more day of something warm. It wasn't about being cheap, it was about being wise with what you'd been given. You could see it in the way a grandmother scraped the last bit from the pan. Not dramatic, not stingy, just respectful. Like food deserved honor because it didn't always come easily. Somebody in that family line had known what an empty pantry felt like, and the lesson stayed in the kitchen long after the hard years passed. These days, a lot of people throw food away without thinking. Their system quietly said, "We don't waste what can carry us one more day." If you grew up like this, you didn't call it meal prep. You called it making it through. Number 14, the garden that fed more than one house. A garden wasn't a little hobby out back. It was a supply line. Tomatoes, beans, squash, cucumbers, grown in soil that smelled like sun and effort. And the best gardens didn't stay private. They overflowed into paper bags handed to neighbors, plates dropped off without fanfare, baskets left near a door like a blessing waiting to be found. Growing food taught patience, sure, but it also taught generosity. Your grandfather, holding a tomato like it was treasure, made you understand that provision isn't always easy. Your grandmother sending you home with vegetables made you feel cared for before you even took a bite. In modern life, food arrives wrapped up and distant from the hands that grew it. Their food carried love in it, and love always seemed to multiply when it left the garden. Number 13, the good dishes cabinet. Every Christian grandparent house had the dishes. The ones you didn't touch unless the moment was important. Holidays, Sunday dinner, guests from church, family visiting from far away. The cabinet opened like a small ceremony, and suddenly the table looked like the family was honoring something. Those dishes weren't about showing off. They were about marking people as worthy, like saying, "You matter enough for the best we have." A grandmother placing those plates down carefully wasn't being fancy. She was being intentional. A lot of people want everything casual all the time now, and there's nothing wrong with that. But your grandparents believed some moments deserved reverence. They didn't wait for life to feel special. They made it special on purpose. Now, we're stepping into the sacred side of the house. The parts that weren't just homey, they were holy. Number 12, the company-ready living room. That living room had a different tone. Pillows neat, lamps glowing, vacuum lines in the carpet. Kids peeked in like it was sacred ground. You didn't run in there, and you didn't snack in there. It wasn't about being strict. It was about honor. A quiet way of saying people matter enough to prepare for. Now, every room does everything, which is practical. But that room reminded you what care looks like when it has a place. Number 11, the guest room that stayed ready. Some homes kept a guest room clean on purpose. Not for pictures, not for show, but for people. A made bed, extra blankets folded neatly, a small lamp, maybe even an empty drawer so someone could unpack without feeling like a burden. That room was proof your grandparents expected love to arrive in real life, not just in theory. Family could show up late. A friend from church might need a night. Somebody could be traveling through. Hospitality wasn't a mood in that house. It was a plan. And watching a grandmother change sheets quietly felt almost sacred, like she was preparing rest the way others prepare food. Now spare rooms become storage for clutter, unfinished projects, and extra stuff. Their spare room stayed open like an outstretched hand, already saying yes before anyone asked. Number 10, the scripture or cross. Near the doorway, there was usually something near the door. A cross, a verse, a stitched plaque you could finish without thinking. Not loud, not flashy, just steady. That wasn't decor, that was direction. Because people forget who they are when they're stressed. They forget what matters when they're rushing. So your grandparents built reminders into the house itself. You saw it on the way out, like the home was blessing your steps without saying a word. Maybe you even watched your grandfather touch the frame as he passed, not performing, just acknowledging it the way you acknowledge something true. A lot of inspiration now lives on screens we scroll right past. They placed it where you couldn't avoid it, and that quiet placement did more work than 1,000 motivational posts ever could. Number 9, the family Bible in a place of honor. That Bible didn't live hidden in a drawer. It sat out in the open, big, heavy gold-edged pages, names written carefully inside the front, a ribbon marking a passage that had been returned to again and again. Sometimes there was a pressed flower between pages, fragile and meaningful. The message was simple. This house belongs to God first, and everyone inside gets covered by that. Faith wasn't treated like a private hobby. It was the orientation of the home, and the most powerful moments weren't dramatic. Someone opening it when life felt heavy, not to lecture anyone, but to breathe again. Plenty of people keep faith tucked away now, careful not to be too much. Your grandparents let it sit beside the sugar bowl like it belonged there, because it did. Number 8, the prayer request notebook. Somewhere in the house was a notebook, sometimes pretty, sometimes plain, but always used. Names inside, family members, friends, neighbors, people from church, notes about surgeries, job worries, babies, school stress. That notebook turned caring into commitment, not gossip, not panic, just steady love with memory attached. A grandmother might whisper those names like she was holding them gently. A grandfather might add one more line without making a show of it, and it made prayer feel real, like something you carried, not something you said once and forgot. Now, people promise prayer quickly and move on just as fast. Your grandparents wrote it down and came back to it day after day, like love deserved a place to live on. Paper. And somehow, that made the whole house feel covered. Number 7, the blessing box or gratitude jar. A little jar, a small box. Scraps of paper folded up like tiny secrets of hope. It might sound corny until you realize what it trained people to do. Notice goodness on purpose, not pretending life was easy, choosing gratitude anyway. Thank you for safety. Thank you for provision. Thank you for that phone call at the right time. Someone dropping a note in after a hard day wasn't being dramatic. It was them refusing to let bitterness take over the room. We're surrounded by reasons to complain, and the world rewards negativity like it's honesty. Your grandparents practiced a different kind of honesty. Life is hard, but God is still good. That jar didn't fix everything, but it shifted the atmosphere. A house can feel lighter when gratitude is treated like a discipline. Number 6, blessing the meal, no matter what was served. Even when the meal was plain, there was a pause. Beans, cornbread, leftovers. Soup stretched one more day. Everyone stopped moving for a moment like the house was taking a breath. Heads bow. A voice said, "Thank you," like it wasn't automatic. And that small habit changed the room. Gratitude softens people. It turns ordinary food into provision. It closes the door on the stress of the day, even if the day doesn't magically get easier. Some families now eat standing up, distracted, half listening to something else. Your grandparents ate like the meal was a gift, because they remembered what it meant to have enough. Kids might fidget and roll their eyes, but the moment still carried weight. That amen felt like the house settling back into itself, steady again. If this brought someone to mind, grandma, grandpa, that old kitchen tap, like so more people find this. Number 5, the back door, drop-off kindness. In those homes, love didn't stay theoretical, it showed up. Someone knocked at the back door, not the front, because the back door was where real life happened, and they came carrying something, a casserole, a loaf of bread, vegetables from the garden, a pie still warm. No long speech, no announcement, just help. That's what faith looked like when it wore an apron and held a pan with oven mitts. Your grandmother took it in like it was normal, then immediately started thinking who else might need a plate. Your grandfather carried it quietly, like kindness was as ordinary as taking out the trash. Now people send messages from far away and call that support. Your grandparents walked across the street with something you could taste, and somehow the house always felt ready for one more person in need. Number 4, the front porch that held the neighborhood. That porch wasn't decoration, it was a habit. Rocking chairs worn smooth, a swing moving gently like a lullaby, a place where the air cooled and the day slowed down. People sat out there and waved at passing cars like they had nowhere else to. B, kids played in the yard while adults talked about nothing and somehow solved everything. The porch made people visible, available, human. It quietly said, you can stop by, you can sit, you can talk. Most neighborhoods now feel sealed off garage doors, closed blinds, everyone inside. Your grandparents built a little stage for ordinary fellowship. Not flashy, not fancy, just open. And if you walked from that porch into the kitchen, the house carried the same message in a deeper way. This wasn't a place you visited carefully, it was a place you belong. Number 3, the unspoken rule that you could stay. In your grandparents' home, you didn't have to earn your spot. You could sit without asking. You could pour water. You could open the fridge without feeling like you were stealing. A kid could grab a snack and hear only a gentle reminder to wash hands first. Hospitality wasn't only what they served, it was what they allowed. Their house made room for people to exist without performing, and that freedom is rare. Some homes now feel like you're renting space, careful not to touch the wrong thing, anxious about being in the way. Your grandparents' home felt like you had already been claimed, like you belonged before you behaved perfectly. And once you felt that belonging, you relaxed. You laughed louder. You stayed longer. You breathed deeper. That's the kind of welcome that changes people without preaching at them. Number 2, the kitchen table that ran the family. That kitchen table was headquarters. Homework beside church papers. Mail stacked nearby. Someone's elbow resting there like it was home base. You heard chairs scrape, spoons clink, adults talking in that calm tone that made problems feel smaller. The table gave the house a center, a place where life got handled, not hidden. Kitchens look beautiful now, but the sitting has disappeared. Your grandparents knew the secret. The table wasn't the backdrop, it was the glue. Number 1, the prayer chair that held the whole house. Somewhere in the home was a chair that wasn't just a chair, by a window maybe. In a corner, Bible nearby, pen nearby. Nothing fancy, but it was used like it mattered. You can picture someone there early in the morning, coffee cooling, breathing slow, resetting their soul before the day arrived. That chair didn't erase problems. It made people strong enough to carry them. We chase calm in noise now. They practiced peace in stillness, and the whole house felt steadier because of it. If this brought someone to mind, grandma, grandpa, that kitchen that smelled like coffee and clean dishes, hold on to it. Those homes were not perfect, but they were built with intention, and you could feel it the moment you walked in. If you want more of this kind of time travel, come join us, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. And next up, the forgotten things every 80s kid remembers the moment they hear them.